official proceedings. Thanks very much for turning up on the 25th anniversary of the discovery of Koolasuchas Cleelandi. It's a couple of days past. It's the actual day of the discovery was the 30th of April, but we thought we'd pick today for a get-together on the nearest convenient Saturday. So welcome to some special guests, of course, Leslie Cool, after whom Koolasuchas Cleelandi took its name. Dr. Tom Rich, the curator of vertebrate paleontology at Museum Victoria, who participated in much of the research on it. Dave Pickering, also collections manager of Museum Victoria, who was also involved in the research on it. Andrew Ruffin, who then went on to discover the partial Koolasuchas skull from further along this beach. He's expected here before too long. And a special welcome to the young people here today, particularly Miriam, Dylan and Neva, because I think it's important to acknowledge the next up-and-coming generation of geologists and paleontologists in the area. So thanks for coming along, all you guys. Can I start with a little bit of detail about the circumstances of the discovery of Koolasuchas? It was a fine sunny morning, and what had happened was I was sort of exploring the coast along here, and I'd gone down there and around there to Rowell's Beach, which is about 15 minutes that way. And I'm surprised that Tim Flannery and John Long and perhaps Tom, in their explorations through this area in 1978 and 79, I don't think found anything at all from that beach, because since then quite a few specimens have turned up. Anyway, I was going along the shore platform just looking for a few things, and I saw what appeared to be this bone embedded in the rock. And initially, I was not convinced that it was a bone, mainly because it was too big. I thought it was a tree. I had never seen a piece of bone that big. I mean, I'd found leg bones like this bit, and we were finding a few of the clavicles at that stage that were about this big, but I'd never seen a bone that big and, you know, as thick as my hand. So it wasn't until I really got the magnifying glass onto it and could see a cross-section through a couple of teeth, which had the classic labyrinthine infolding that these animals have, that I was able to convince myself that we'd actually found not only a bone, but a jawbone. So one thing led to another, and we got the thing out, and I recall Tom carrying a block of rock about twice the size of this cake most of the way up this hill, and when we eventually got the jackhammers underneath it and dug it out. It was perhaps a bit disappointing that we didn't get more of it. What I originally found there was the right-hand jawbone, which Leslie's got there, and most of the left-hand jawbone. And I think we were hoping to get the skull. We were hoping that the top of the skull might have, flipped over like the lid of a jam tin and landed somewhere beside it. So we put on an excavation and dug out a couple of cubic metres of rock around the immediate area. And the best we could get was one fragment of toe bone or something, so we gave up and went home. So that was the story of the discovery of Koolasuchas Cleelandi on the 30th of April 1990, as a result of which we're here 25 years later today. So Leslie, would you now like to tell us a bit about the specimens themselves and the status of their, the process of their preparation?
Well, after these were collected, as Mark said, it was a fairly gargantuan task, but we managed to get them up the hill and back to Monash University, and it was my job as preparator to remove the rock from the bone. So I did keep the visual record. It's only, unfortunately, we're talking about 1993, is that right? And so we didn't have digital cameras in those days. Everything was done with just a normal camera, but I did document the preparation of the jaws as it went. It took me about 3 months to get them from this stage, where this is a wheelbarrow with the main block in it, which has the front part of the main jaw and I think the back or the side of one of these on the side. So as you can see here, so come and have a look at this, because it does sort of show the way that the bones were removed and finally completely removed from the sediments. What is interesting is in these top two, or top three, you can actually see a cut mark that probably about 7 or 8 centimetres from the edge of the rock. There's a shallow cut mark. This is where Nick Van Claveren, who was with us on the day, started to cut the rock, and somebody, I think it might have been Tom, said, no, I think you need to go a little bit further, so he then cut about 5 centimetres further on. And if you look at the front...
be that cut mark there.
Oh.
Okay, you said it was Nick, I thought it was me, I wasn't going to say it. It was, yeah, I wasn't using the rock through at that time.
Thank goodness Tom erred on the side of caution, and so we didn't cut all the way through the jaw, because that would have been a disaster. But it is an amazing specimen. What doesn't show very clearly on this, and I'm not sure if Mike really explained it, was that both of these jaws, or this is the front and this is the back, they don't meet like that. There's actually a gap of about that much between the front and the back of the jaw, because there was a crack in the jaw platform which had worn away, and then actually worn that much of the jaw away. So the front and the back don't join, and we don't have a continuous sequence of teeth on the right lower jaw, because once you get to this piece, the teeth are no longer there. This is the back of the jaw. But we can actually see it quite nicely on the lower left jaw. So this, and the other big difference is this jaw, as you see in the photograph, was lying horizontally in the sediment. This jaw was lying at an angle of about 45 degrees. And if you look at the cross section, so here we have two. This is the back, the left jaw and the right jaw. You can see where the bones from the skull would have articulated at the back. So if you look at the cross section between the two jaws, you can see they're very, very different. And that's because this was crushed differently to this one. This one was crushed a little bit because this part of the bone has been pushed up. But this is much more natural cross section than this one. And Dr. Anne from La Trobe University is a specialist in this group of fossil amphibians. I think it took her probably about 3 months to decide that they were actually the left and the right of the same animal because of this distortion. And the only way that she could be sure was by looking at the ornamentation on the outside of the jaws and the articulation on the inside to convince herself that these were actually from the same animal. So it just shows the stresses and the pressures these jaws must have been under, because these are fairly substantial bones, and to crush them like that is just amazing. But the nice thing about the front of this jaw, even though the actual very front of it, which would have been sort of like that, is missing, what we do have are the teeth at the very back of the jaw, so we know what shape they were and how they actually got smaller compared to the teeth at the front. And you'll notice on the lower jaw that there are holes in between the teeth. This isn't that the teeth have actually fallen out. It's just where new teeth are ready to come up and take the place. So that is a very natural process. This is where the teeth would have been worn and then new teeth would have come up. And unlike dinosaurs, dinosaur teeth have got roots that go into the jaw. The teeth on these amphibians actually grew from the very top of the jaw. They didn't have roots, so they just grew right out from the top of the jaw. So that and the fact that, as Mike mentioned, that looking at the cross section of these teeth, particularly the ones which have been worn away, you can actually see that folded enamel, which is a characteristic of this group of Labyrinthodonts, which needs names like this. So yeah, this was a very exciting exercise for me personally, and at that time I had no idea that Tom was going to name this particular animal after myself and Mike. So yes, I'm very proud. I'm sure Mike is that we've got such an amazing animal named after us, and more pieces have turned up since. And for those of you who perhaps have hanging around, this was made just in the last week. This is an go along it, they can sit on it or stand on it, run along the back, touch its eyes, and so we think they've done a pretty good job. So they're not local, are they?
I think they're Melbourne sculptors. Yeah.
Yeah, so they've done a pretty good job.
Wallace Street playground in Inverloch. Yeah. So we got a they're applying the glazing next week. Yeah.
Seal that.
So we'll have to go and have a champagne over there next. It's all opening.
Yeah, that's right. And they get very scared with the sculpture.
That's right.
I think it certainly helped with the interest in the area. I think it's just one more gentle this coastline. It's just an amazing coastline. Things still keep turning up now, and I'm sure they will continue in the future.
Thanks, Leslie. Can I now ask Tom to make some comments on your involvement in this project, Tom, taking us perhaps back to the days of the GOC.
The GOC stood for God Only Knows, which was the term used by the eminent mammalian paleontologist George Gaylord Simpson in the mid-20th century. And when this specimen turned out, which was the first specimen of Koolasuchas Cleelandi, we didn't know what it was, and we thought it might be anything from an Ankylosaur to God knows what. And for years we just were puzzled by this thing. It didn't have any teeth. That was the thing that really fooled us. But we finally figured out that it was a Labyrinthodont. But we didn't, when it was first published, we didn't name it because it wasn't suitable what we call a Tait. And we waited until that specimen turned up. And when it came around to naming this thing, if Leslie had a different surname, I don't know if I would have come up with it. But the coincidence was incredible because what it stands for, if you translate it from the Greek eyes, is the cool crocodile. Now, Suchus is the name that's used as the Indian, temnospondyl amphibians generally. And so the cool crocodile being at very high latitude is perfect. So I couldn't resist the temptation to call it Koolasuchas Cleelandi. And it was very important. Now another thing that happened was that for those of you who ever published a scientific paper, it's very unusual. This paper was published in one of the oldest German paleontological journals now in Africa. And for those of you who have ever battled with reviewers' comments and things like this in publishing a paper, they don't have reviewers. You send in a manuscript, and it's either accepted or rejected by the editor, and it gets published, and that's it. Which was very pleasant. And, but it took 5 years. There was a downside to this. But, so it was very unusual. Anne Warren did a fantastic job of describing this animal, and nobody's ever questioned what it is, because the evidence is so strong, based not only on these jaws, but on other elements. We have vertebrae and elements of the pectoral vertebrae have all point the same direction of what it is. As far as the details you're describing about my involvement, actually, I don't even remember that. For some reason, I don't say I wasn't here, but I certainly remember going back in '93 and trying to find more of it, and we couldn't find a dang thing. But as far as I didn't know I was around when the initial specimen was found. Okay, I'll defer to your memory.
Thanks, Tom. It was interesting what you were saying just recently about the circumstances of the discovery of the GOC. Apparently, Tim Flannery has said that he got down to the bottom of the punch bowl, and for local interest, the punch bowl is now closed. It's just a hole in the ground. Flannery reckoned he got down to the bottom of the punch bowl, and he got out through a hole in the bottom, out onto the shore platform, and went around to the left and discovered the GOC. There is now no hole in the bottom of the punch bowl. If there was, whatever Flannery,
1978 when he did that.
whatever Flannery crawled through in 1978 is not there now. So it's part of the changing process of our coastline that hopefully is going to erode and uncover some more specimens. Dave, would you like to make a comment about your involvement in the process or preparation?
The only thing I can add, because I wasn't there when all this was happening, but can I just have a look at that? The other important specimens that we've got at Koolasuchas is this. Half the head off the top. And I'm sorry that Andrew Ruffin's not here, because he was the one that found it sometime after. So I'm not sure how long after.
Yeah, a year or two after, a bit further on.
It's in 3 pieces, and it's one of the most travelled bits of fossil around because it's just come back from Sweden, where Dr. Ben Keir took it to Uppsala to get it scanned on the synchrotron in Grenoble. So then it went to Grenoble, and for some reason it didn't get scanned. Yeah, we scanned it at St Vincent's beforehand anyway, but recently it's just come back to us, and it's a very nice specimen that Dr. Anne Warren once again had at Latrobe for a number of years because the top of the skull of these things has got a very intricate pattern on them, and it makes it very difficult to take out the matrix to bring out this pattern. And so we worked at it for a while, and we've got maybe a third of it done. So eventually we will get it done, and we'll get it scanned and get a 3D replica made and mirror image it. So then we'll get both sides of the skull, and it's about maybe not quite double that size. And these eyes are a little bit too close together. That's a nice
Well, when we cut it, it'll go
artistic
further apart.
representation of fossils is an evolving process. A bit more on the formation of the fossil itself. Alan Tait, we're pleased to have here today. And when it was found, I think the environment of deposition was thought to be a sort of a debris flow where there'd been a massive flow of sediment down a river, and these bones had been washed down with that. Alan, do you have any commentary on that? You kids, go and play over there if you're going to make all of it.
I haven't seen the location where this came from. That's why I'm here today, to come and see it.
Yep.
But the cliff over there, the big one we take the secondary students down to, is a big meandering channel. Features in it. So there's some very large-scale rivers around here. The rest of the place is the floodplains of the large rivers, areas, the forested areas, and lakes and things where the forests die away. So you've got a whole mixture of that kind of stuff. Yeah. Plenty of water for it to live in.
Thanks, Alan. I might move on to the second half of our official program today, which is the inauguration of the artworks. Koolasuchas, when you Google Koolasuchas image on the internet, it comes up with 50 or 100 representations that people have made in various ways. And our own John Wilkins has got a railway spike and turned into a Koolasuchas. Yeah, one of those things down the back like that. Chappie, whose name I haven't recorded, has made a pewter Koolasuchas, because what he did was he scoured all the op shops miles around Gippsland, bought all the silver pewter cups he could get his hands on, melted them all down, and he makes these pewter Koolasuchas things. And Pip's stepfather, Teo, has made this thing. have any Koolasuchas skin, but we do have an understanding that amphibians breathe through their skin. So if you've got scales all over your skin, you might have trouble with your oxygen exchange. So they are the kind of considerations that we go through in terms of artistic interpretation. Speaking of artistic interpretation, my wife Pip has got her painting to produce. So let's do two things, darling. Let's unveil the truffler, which is over here. Let's hold this up. Okay, this is a print of the original done by our paleo artist Peter Trussler, and some of the features of this is that the skull up there does show the ornamentation. Dave, has he got the eyes right in this one?
Oh, look, I don't want to besmirch Peter if you're a friend of mine, but he didn't have the head to work with.
No.
Yeah, the strange thing about the sockets for the eyes in Koolasuchas is they're not just two little holes in the top of the head, but they're keyholes that open out on the side of the... But look, that's a wonderful painting. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. And it also features these leaves. Are they ginkgoites?
Yeah.
So he's got the leaves, and he's got a Chili Carapuca Hotwayensis, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you're wrong.
So this is an exercise in trying to do a reasonably genuine reconstruction of the animal and the ecosystem in which it lives.
Can I just say something, Mike, about the technical difficulties that
Dave,
Peter
could you
told me?
come and hold this while I do the next one? Because there's more.
I've never held this before. Peter comes in regularly to the museum because he's doing a PhD on another very strange animal. But he was telling me that to get that really bright effect of the ginkgo leaves, he had to sort of trace out those shapes and sort of paint around them. In other words, he couldn't paint the ginkgo leaves over the top of the painting. So you can imagine sort of having to paint around all those leaves. So just like he painted. You know who did it? His wife, yeah. Good on her, good on Gail.
Good idea. Like to work.
Our next work of art today, which is the 25th anniversary Cleelandi version of Koolasuchas. Congratulations, darling. Darling, this is a different style of representation to what Peter does, isn't it?
It's called fun and only got a week to do it. And the eyes are probably it's probably meant to be 3 eyes, I don't know.
Thanks very much for your contribution to this. We love the eyes, as we always do in your paintings. The slimy skin is there, the green primordial slime of the lower Cretaceous background is all there, so I think you've got it. What I really like about this painting is the impression of bulk in the back structure of the body. This is portrayed as quite a heavy animal, quite a large one. The Inverloch sculpture is 8 metres. It's quite heavy in the body as well. The legs are characteristically drawn a bit reduced because they're able, being an amphibian, it doesn't quite need the leg structure to drag its weight around like a land animal ordinarily would. But the bulk of the body, I think, is something very realistic, and I like the way it's done.
I like them all, Mike. But just one, we're talking about all these different heads. The most accurate head from our bones is the cake.
Helen, could you... Right. Dave, I think that brings on the final stages of our celebration, in which we ask everybody to charge their glasses or raise their glasses and sing happy birthday. At which juncture we'll actually perform the cutting of the cake in the way that we'll 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Koolasuchas. Happy birthday to you. Hip hip. Right. Struth. Oh, this is good.
He has sterilised that chisel.
You don't?
Go again, Mike.
I'll have the last bit.
Well done.
Well done.
That's the 2 jawbones that I found there.
Okay.
Yeah.
The ones that you
unfortunately-
name after you?
Yeah. But it's not that far down. The sand's up today. Today I found it all the sand locked off, and you can see the actual site. Yeah. There we are. I reckon the 2 jawbones are right about there, but about that far down. Yeah, the sand is covered over the actual site, which does happen half the time. About half the time it seems that I have been here on rare occasions when there's been about only a wheelbarrow of sand across the whole of this beach.
Wow.
Yeah, after a big storm it's been knocked off, and there's rocks from here. There's a big volcanic dike actually goes down the middle of this beach where volcanoes come up. But you can't see any of that today, so up. So what I thought we'd do while we're here is have a bit of a systematic search through the loose rocks over there, just where Bronny is, because if we're going to find something today, it might be able to roll around in the road and expose new stuff. So we've got a bit of a chance in there. So how about we come over there and Neva, where's that thing you're going to show me? Right, lead me back there and a bit of plastic. Yeah, just a bit of plastic. Come and show me. I think they've found it. Come and show me.
And off they go.